It's the city of brotherly love. But there's no love lost between these Atlantic rivals. Philly's tasted greatness, but never reached the top. With 2019 in their rear view, they're ready to make history at home. The sea of young stars looks to slow down the hometown heroes, but Corey and Stratus look to drop the hammer of justice.
This is where it starts to get messy. Cover your eyes if you're squeamish. Oh my gosh, Corey! You are absolutely mad!
And an unexpected upset from 2019 gets a sequel.
I can't believe it! The Houston Outlaws remain the most vexing team in the Overwatch League. In the Florida Mayhem, they triumph.
Week 1 kicked off with a bang, but now it's Philly's turn to bring the fireworks. Live from Broad Street, it's the battle of brotherly love.
Philadelphia! What's going on, everyone? It is a pleasure to be back here with the Overwatch League one more time in the city of brotherly love. I'm Golden Boy, and I'll be your host today. And I'm so excited to be here with each and every one of you. Come on, I need this side to make some noise. What's going on? Let's bring it over here now. Come on, you guys gotta beat each other. Let's go. Now, we have some great matches in store for you today, and I know I see a sea of orange and black in front of me. So I know you guys are ready for your matchup, but just hold your horses quite yet, because we have some more games to get to, one in specific. But I know what everyone here is excited to watch. I know who everyone here is excited to watch. You ready to watch your Philadelphia Fusion? That's right, they're gonna be coming up in just a little bit, but first, we have our matchup coming up in a few moments, and to take us through everything, let's give a warm Philadelphia welcome to Uber and Mr. X.
Oh, Golden Boy. You know how to throw it, my friend. Thank you, and glad to have you back.
Yeah.
I mean, who knew that all we had to do to bring Golden Boy out of Overwatch hiatus was come back to Philly? We would have done that in week 1. What a pleasure it is. I'm Mitch Leslie, here with Matt Morello. This is week 2. We're on tour, baby. We've been coast to coast. You stayed on
coast to coast. I've been here the whole time on the East Coast. I took the train straight down.
I'm in love and life. Let's have a look at last week's results, though, ladies and gentlemen, because of course it all went down in New York and in Dallas in our opening weekend, and of course, week 1.
Oh, wait, what? Are you serious? No, what?
FT Gods, unbelievable.
Damn, it's good to be back.
What more could you ask for?
And that's just a taste of what went down in New York and Dallas. But here is your schedule as well, your results. It all started with Toronto taking on the Paris Eternal.
Yeah, Toronto looked good in their one match of the weekend in New York. They get a win on early, and then you saw the NYXL. They finished the weekend 2-0. The Shock, they closed it out with a win over Dallas, as Dallas has a rough weekend at their homestand, finishing 0-2.
Bit of a quieter Sunday in week 1. But now, let's turn our attention to week 2. Now, we only have the one homestand for this weekend, so everybody's eyes are trained on the matches here at the Met. We're going to kick it off with Florida Mayhem versus the Houston Outlaws. Honestly, there's a bit of rivalry there because it seems like Houston dropped games to Florida when no one expects them to, so I think there's a little bit of pride to be regained for Houston. Then we get along to Washington Justice versus the Philadelphia Fusion. Your first look at the Philly team here in 2020.
Yeah, excited for the Philly matches this weekend, but I think this first match, Florida against Houston, I think it actually is going to be really interesting. Florida, new color scheme. I love it. Definitely better than the yellow and red, I would say.
We're advancing, you know. We're developing now. And
I mean, the color scheme doesn't hide their bad record through the first 2 seasons. I mean, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
It's distraction?
Yes, a little bit. But the Outlaws, they make a ton of additions in the offseason. So Blase, Hydration, Jexe, Meko, Repel all get added to this roster. And I think Meko's a big addition, probably the biggest name addition that they bring in, as he is one of the best off-tanks in the league through the first 2 seasons. Maybe not as strong last year than in the first season, the inaugural season of the Overwatch League, but still a fantastic diva player to throw in.
Well, you're a diva player, Matt, and a team has to make a playstyle adjustment across the board. It probably hits you hardest of all. You have to be the most flexible, and obviously New York struggled with the changing pace in 2019 to really reach the top. But this Houston Outlaws roster now has kind of something for everybody, and absolutely any 6 they put forward are going to look solid.
Yeah, but in a meta right now that seems like we could be going towards like Reinhardt with Diva. I think having Meko in there is going to be huge here, and I think Muma's a fantastic Reinhardt as well, main tank, so I think we'll just see Muma's play get better. I think the tank line is going to be very strong for the Outlaws.
Yeah, you definitely have them on their best heroes in that case. But let's have a look across the stage at the Florida Mayhem, a team who's never really achieved those high highs. And look, this is a graph. Look, this is a graph without stage playoffs, by the way. So if we included them, Shanghai would actually be higher. But outside of that, one of the lowest all-time win percentages for any Overwatch League franchise.
Yeah, and I mean, you may remember Shanghai didn't win a game year 1. So it kind of puts that even more context, that map win percentage. But look, a ton of changes here for Florida. Some of these changes happened like in the second half of last year, but we didn't really get to see them pay off as much. But you bring in the 2 players from contenders, right? Yaki and Gangnam Jin, they're very highly rated players. You also have Fate, who comes over from the Valiant about halfway through the season, but then with some of those other additions, didn't really gel straight away. I think needed some more time to adjust to playing with some new teammates, but really excited for what the Mayhem they've been cooking up all offseason.
Yeah, I mean, first Florida, they dipped into the WGS Armament team from Korea, then into Runaway, and Gargo was one of the players added here as well, who really had to hit the ground running in a big way, though. He came straight on in. You saw him playing Swan initially, then Fate when he came into the team. This is an off-tank that had to play with multiple main tanks across the course of the year, and of course, don't forget that Karayan was also in the mix here, so there was 3 that he's had to play with, and honestly, gave a good account of himself in the latest stages of the season.
Yeah, I mean, outside of some Saya player highlights, I mean, this is all the other highlights you're looking at from Florida Mayhem last year. I thought Gargoyle was really strong in the off-tank position, so I think now if you can solidify the main tank and the rest of the players around him, I think his play could get even better.
Yeah, well now, of course, for the first time in 2020, sporting some pretty jazzy new colors. Let's welcome to the stage the Florida Mayhem. I think it's safe to say this is a roster that gives so much credence and respect to the incredible incubator of talent over in South Korea, over in that contender scene, and they trust them to come in and lead this team into a new era, or so they hope.
Yeah, now we mentioned Fate comes over from the Valiant. Fate's a player a lot of people know in the Overwatch League for a while. He won't be in the starting lineup today, so it'll be Karayan and Gargoyle in terms of the tanks. BQB, he was a very good Sombra last season. We saw him play some other heroes. I think last season got a little bit of a tough run. I don't think anyone on Florida had like a tremendous look throughout the season. I think BQB is definitely more talented than what he showed last year.
So Gargoyle and Karayan have history together, Matt. That's definitely something you're going to want to leverage in a matchup against another, a newer look opponent as well. We did see them on stage last year. They did start to show up towards the end of the season. And I mean, everyone's kind of jealous of Florida because they have 2 different team icons in game right now with the Reap. So Houston are actually in lobby showing that off to them. But hey, without further ado, let's bring out their opponents. Beloved by many. I said they were the most vexing team in the league last year. Let's see if they can turn around in 2020. It is the Houston Outlaws.
I think Houston just has some fan favorite players on this roster that even their away games, like if they don't play against, like let's say Philly, they'll always be like the most popular team in the venue other than the home team. So see the starting lineup here today: Blase, Hydration, Muma, Meko, Raucus, and Jexe. So don't see Repel. We'll see Raucus here at the start. Probably tells you they're going to play a little bit more Ana, as Raucus is a very strong Ana.
That's right. Well, they got kicked out of Woodlands in Texas, but they're definitely not going to be leaving this arena without some resistance to Houston Outlaws. Muma and Meko. No one really dreamed of this tank combination last year. No one even really thought that, it would be possible to see Meko come across to represent the Outlaws, but now it's happening. We have to start considering it and sort of analyzing how these two work together.
You knew that Meko was going to play for the Outlaws, but it just looks weird not seeing him in the NYXL jersey, right? Like, you kind of think he's such a mainstay of that roster, but big move by the Outlaws in the offseason, man. They want to contend. They added pieces that they feel like can help them get there, so see if it makes it happen.
Expectations have always been high for Houston, and people still seem to forgive them every time they fail to reach them. I feel like a lot of fans have been less charitable towards the Florida Mayhem, but you see here Meko now as well. Highest win percentage with D.Va in 2018. Now that's 2 years ago, fam. That's quite a way back, and you do remember the NYXL being a dominant force. Then you know this guy has the caliber to perform. It's just how he slots into this roster now.
But I think they have, like, now that you have Blase, Hydration, Linkser, Dante, right? A lot of power and the damage dealers, a lot of flexibility amongst all of those players as well. I think you have a well-rounded team that when we start to get into hero pools and all that brings, I think you have a lot of players who can fit a lot of slots to fill some holes.
Look, and Jexa as well on the Seoul Dynasty, when he first joined, he wanted to be part of the play-calling core, but there were so many veteran players on that team that he looked up to, and there was no way that he was going to come into this sort of structure, which was traditionally, as far as I understood, speaking to the players, styled after, South Korean society and culture as well. Like, obviously, you respect your elders to a great degree. Jexa, though, maybe has an opportunity to do some of that here. I don't know where his English is at, but BQB, I'm sure he's had time to practice since he's been out here, but last year we saw him play a lot of Sombra, a lot of utility setups, but when he got onto the real damage dealers, he looked good.
Yeah, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, you expected more from him last year, but I think that could be said of just about everybody on the Florida Mayhem, where I think this year there's really not an excuse for Florida. You've had a lot of time to put this roster together. You brought in some players that you feel really strongly about. Even last year, right? You kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. Hey, you're coming in halfway through the season. Huge adjustment to get into the Overwatch League, and then everything that brings, schedule, getting caught up on how it just operates in general, where you can kind of be like, all right, I'll give them a pass, right? They looked all right towards the later half of the season. They looked competitive, but you didn't really kind of hold the losses against them that harsh. Now we got to see them perform.
But you look across this roster, and in general, the amount of games played in the Overwatch League across the Florida Mayhem is quite low. I mean, Karayan and Gargoyle were additions last season. BQB definitely has the most games, and of course, this is a debut for Yaki and Gangnam Jin. And yeah, Jexa in the driver's seat. Working alongside Raucus there as well. It was discussed on the desk. It's like, do we see Rappel here? Raucus still going to be a factor, and I mean, this is exciting, seeing Hydration in this roster. He was very mercurial as a DPS player on the Gladiators, playing a lot of those different roles, really just fitting, even playing Orisa on occasion, wherever he had to be. And what's crazy to me is that, he's on a team with Dante, who's also known for having incredibly deep hero pool. Well, I mean, you have a lot of looks here.
Blase for Boston even played some D.Va last year, right?
Don't remind him of that. He'll sooner forget.
I mean, he's happy. He doesn't have to do that anymore. But about it. I mean, now you actually get a great shot of these guys playing the roles they're supposed to play, right? They're damage dealers. It's what they want to play. Now they can actually finally do it. They don't have to, Hydration play like Lucio, I think, one game, right? On Ilios, go way back, and then he's playing off tanks, and he's playing main tanks. So now you can start to see these players, get back into the role that they wanted to play.
I mean, this is really interesting. Look at this roster. Only two of the previous Houston Outlaws players currently sat down there as Moomer and Raucus. So it's a completely new look DPS line. So currently down the stage, ladies and gentlemen, just for your information, we are resolving an IT-related issue. So we're going to head to a short break, and when we return, it's going to go down here between Florida Mayhem and the Houston Outlaws.
He needs an EMP, but he's holding on to it. Sire player, pressured down. 5 players caught out by that one. A body grenade on towards Fade. He can't do anything. Fade hacked again. He can't even play the game. Dante shuts him down entirely. And our Fate is missing. Sire player out of position, surrounded by Houston Outlaws. They refuse to go down. Zephyr returning back to the point now. He gets a body grenade and a hack, and everything is coming out. They're giving it everything. The Outlaws, they just wanted more. Zephyr desuited. Chris trying to get back in spawn. Fade in trouble now. Sire player returns with a rally, but Fade is hacked. He's pushed back. Soundberry even for the Florida Mayhem. Zephyr returns on the Bastion. BQB gets rid of Jake. Rumor trying to stay up and shield Raucus on that backside. He needs the hit. Oh! The Bastion, surely not. This is where it ends. Zephyr back in towards turret mode now. Boink is struggling. Florida Mayhem have brought the house crashing down. It's just Boink. He's trying to hold on. Dante returns with the EMP and Boink gets the sound barrier. It's 2 versus 3 right now, but BQB falls. Dante finds the kill. Boink is down. Zephyr sitting in the back corner. Fade is very low and Jake returns on the Doomfist now. He's got to be out of time, but he's knocked off. I can't believe it. I cannot believe what I've just seen.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you may be expecting from a game between these two teams. Last year,
the legendary Zephyr bash
on the last point of the map, a fight that went for, well, quite a while, you know, a couple minutes. And that's what these two teams did last year. They scrapped a lot. It wasn't clean. It was messy. It was desperate.
Scrapped around is a nice way to put it.
Yeah, that is the only nice way I could think of that, to put it, to be honest. So, you know, these two teams have had a whole offseason. I mean, when like, you got some experience as a pro player and as a coach, Matt, you don't want this. You don't want to have to play in those conditions, right? You want a clean execution.
No, I mean, you don't even, I mean, you win those games, like, yeah, sure, you feel good about it because you ended up winning, but you know you didn't play necessarily great. Like, you know, you're just kind of, I mean, look, I mean, they got to...
You lost to Bastion.
The stall for 2 minutes, you're going bash at the end. Like, it's not a great feeling. I mean, you like to win better than that, where I think every team kind of aspires to do that. But I think if you're Florida at that point, you're just trying to get any win. I mean, anyway, you were going to get a win at that point. You'll take it. But I think both of these teams probably in the offseason looked, obviously, you know, to improve the rosters, which they did. And then also just get a better practice schedule, get everything together, getting ready for the season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. These two teams, of course, just taking a moment on stage to get their peripherals sorted out. It was also a mouse issue there as well. Yeah. So some of the players just trying to work their way in there. What do you expect to see in terms of compositions here, Matt? Over the last couple of weeks, we've seen teams go for a couple of different looks.
I mean, last week in New York, we saw a lot of, you know, Reinhardt, Orisa, Reinhardt, D.Va. I think you saw the D.Va play rate, you know, pretty high in terms of overall hero usage. And then May McCree seemed to be a pretty powerful combination. You combine that with the Lucio, you need speed when you play like some of these slower compositions, right, to, you know, close the gap, engage. So Lucio always been in play, and then you have the Ana in the mix as well.
Sire Player got hyped up a bunch on the desk before the game started today. They wanted to see him play the Widowmaker. A lot of our sort of experts thought that would be a big pick here. He doesn't start the series in, which is maybe not a surprise because our first map is Control.
Yeah.
But do you expect him to now just move to the McCree role or keep playing the Widow? Because we did see some Widowmaker last week.
I mean, it all depends. I mean, he's such a standout Widowmaker player. Maybe now he can kind of just focus on playing like a select few heroes that he can really excel at, right? You bring him in as like a Widowmaker specialist. You know, you have BQB and Yaku. You expect a lot from both of these players. You know, Yaku is one of the big pickups for the Florida Mayhem in the offseason. So maybe Sire Player is just kind of reduced to a Widowmaker specialist type of role on this team now.
And this is a generational battle as well, almost. Well, I mean, in terms of Overwatch history between Raucus and Gangnam Jin as well. You know, your flex support players, Raucus having been around since the inception of the league. Gangnam Jin, of course, coming from Runaway over in the South Korean region, just being one of the most hyped up players, I think, to come into the league. And it's no surprise he got snapped up. Here's your map set, ladies and gentlemen, and it is Busan to start us off.
Yeah, and you got a Control, Escort, and then Hybrid this week. So if you remember, we talked a lot about it week 1. Some of these maps will change in terms of map type because we are no longer having a 4 map set. We play all 4 maps. The first to 3 will win a series. So you could not see Assault today, for argument's sake. If both teams were to win like 3-0, you could see it come later in the series. It'll change week to week.
On this map, maybe not as much of a Widowmaker option here for the Florida Mayhem, but we expect to see plenty of May from both sides. Blase was pretty public about the fact that he didn't want to be playing D.Va last year during the end of his tenure with Boston, I believe it was. So a chance to play something different here, a chance for him to show his skills alongside a new look Houston Outlaws outfit. The Pharaoh will be spicy from Yaki. I don't know if that's what we're going to be getting. This is kind of what you expected to see, right? The Brigitte, perhaps?
I mean, we'll see if Raucus decides to play it. I think, you know, the Ana we saw a lot more week 1.
Here we go.
You never know.
Oh yeah, the Brig is back.
So we do see the Brig for both teams. It's actually interesting. So no Lucio for the Florida Mayhem. They'll play the Brigitte instead.
Raucus here just trying to play his corners and make sure they're not flanked. His job is essentially to dissuade any flanking and also try and punish Karayan, who gets walled up. Looking at the top side, Yaki actually freezing Moomer up, making it very hard for the Outlaws Reinhardt to follow up on the enemy, and BQB finds a headshot on hydration here, so the May's missing for Houston. This is going to be just a one-wall game now for Florida as they approach the point, and Houston just try and rotate and use their shields as much as they can.
BQB finds a side angle there and is able to get that first pick off, but the Outlaws do control the point. Is Mayhem trying to push their way onto it. That'll be a second kill here for BQB.
Now for Houston, now it's a matter of stalling out as long as you can. Hydration's just about to arrive here on the May, but he backs away as he sees what's happening to the rest of his team. Houston do strike gold on a point first. Florida flip it back real quick, and there's some ultimates on the way.
You know, we haven't seen Brigitte really play in the Overwatch League in a while. So she gets a ton of adjustments. Now has 3 charges on the armor pack. Not as tanky as she felt before. Definitely more of a healer than, you know, kind of like a tank plus a little bit of healing. So that'll be a nano boost at the start here that goes on to Karayan. Is they want to push the pace here, Florida.
Now, Karayan looks like he got caught off early by the wall from hydration, so that's the response. They go for the nano boost to keep the Reinhardt vital.
All right.
BQB knows where they are, at least with Deadeye. It tracks their positions, even if it won't allow them to get any line of sight. There's a wall up. Houston are actually split in half right now as they're trying to approach the point. Blase attempting a Deadeye here, had to be hastily shielded by Moomer, but Jex has already fallen. Blase pulls a trigger and finds very little. Matt now trying to push through, but the Outlaws are down to half strength.
Yes, this has looked all Florida outside of the beginning as BQB will take out 2. They're going to push them all the way back into the spawn. As now you're walking into a lot of ultimates here. You have the self-destruct, Earth-Shatter, Blizzard combination here for the Florida Mayhem. Is Yaki trying to get to the high ground here and just play up here with his D.Va. This will force Meko to like go up there and try and push them out of the position.
Again, D.Va can't really mitigate any of the freezing from the endothermic blasters, so it's a little bit dangerous to go alone, but there's no other choice. Wall up. Moomer took a lot of damage early in the fight. The rally is going to get the Outlaws healed as they approach, but they need to get to the point. That's the shatter. Karayan goes down. Gargoyle also falls. Yaki's going to have to go for the Blizzard now, and Hydration's trying to work in from around the fringes, but Blase falls to 1 as well. It's a late Blizzard, but nobody from the Mayhem is standing in it.
And the Blizzard is big from Yaki there. He connects with 4 players. They all get frozen. Him and BQB able to put down enough damage to be able to take them out. So now we still have this self-destruct from Gargoyle. Clear out the point, potentially the nano boost for the Reinhardt. Keep Karayan alive if he gets split off.
2 walls up. The Outlaws at least able to get out of position. See Raucus trying to push Gargoyle to the side. Self-destruct over. Nothing for Meko on his first bomb with the Outlaws. And now all the shields are gone. Raucus and Moomer are down. And at 99% on the clock, the Outlaws are in complete disarray. Currently, there's no way Blase can really get to the point. And Karayan fells him with a fire strike. The self-destruct almost just for effect there as Gargoyle remixed himself. Now Jexa on the point. Meko now going to be desuited. No chance to get that one back here. And the Outlaws only really a token resistance in the stall.
And that is about as one-sided of a point as you will see. It goes 18-1 and kills in favor of the Florida Mayhem. So Yaki was getting a much better usage of the May walls, you know, being able to split players off. Time after time, you kind of saw Muma and Meko like on their own, like they're trying to, you know, get everybody stabilized, the Outlaws, but you have like both your tanks at half health. You're not able to heal them up. That's sort of the benefit of like having the Ana with the Brigitte there. I mean, you have the big healing from the Ana as opposed to running like Brigitte Lucio. So we'll see if any changes come through for the compositions for the Outlaws, at least here at the start. Looks like none. Possibly just a TP here from BQB to push them on forward and then to switch back to McCree.
Houston only got 1 kill last round to the 18 of the Florida Mayhem. It was only hydration.
The Widowmaker here for BQB, so some longer sightlines. Potentially put it to use. It'll be very difficult though, like if the Outlaws like just kind of play well around the shields and just kind of don't give him the line of sight to make big plays.
Now remember, those shields not as durable as they used to be. Only 1,600 health on those. Karayan Trying to keep his barrier up as much as he can, and BQB, this is where he's looking for a pick. When the fight starts to break down, he gets a glancing blow on Blase, but Blase fires back and finds himself 2 more. The Outlaws try and collapse here on Yaki, and job done. They'll be able to pick him up, and now there's not much BQB can do. He has to back away.
You know, BQB puts down some good damage here at the start, but it was just Meko just zoning him out time after time. Like, every time he would get an angle to try and get a pick off on the point, Meko would just fly at him with Defense Matrix. He would have to grapple away, which gives them a huge advantage, the Outlaws, on the point when playing this McCree. Interested to see how long the Mayhem stay on this Widowmaker.
Well, they keep it for the infra site at the very least, and I can see Blase lingering over on that right-hand side of the map. Blase won't be able to do that in secret, and the timing there was just fortuitous for BQB, who've got a headshot on Muma. This forces Muma to keep his barrier up for longer, prevents him from going aggressive. Buys time for the Mayhem now to get to the point. Here's the rally from Raucus, the knockdown there, Muma, and he's slept. Everyone's leveraging CC against the Reinhardt of the Outlaws, and Meko tries to dive the backline, but gets very little. Bardic grenade stunned up. It had to be the Salmero to keep him inside of his mech, but it's worked well so far. Chris is down. Jarjin and Karayan's removed by the micro rockets. Yaki's trying to cut through the remainder of the Outlaws. On the point, he's found another one. Now might have to back away. Hydration got the jump on him when it comes to freezing, but Yake ice blocks. Hydration. It's a standoff between these two Mays here right now. From the backside is Gargoyle. Self-destructive, he needs it, but BQB, this is where he can thrive late in the fight. But that Widow really needs to do more to pay off.
I mean, once they start to get some kills, Florida, then the Widowmaker can become effective because you have to have Meko on the point there. In that instance, it's another good Blizzard from Yaki, right? It's like a 3v3 scenario at the time. It's a good Blizzard that flips the point in Florida's favor, but the Outlaws with a Blizzard of their own, a Deadeye as well.
And they're not going to waste any time.
Big biotic grenade.
It's sizable indeed. Especially Hydration not being able to heal that up. Muma now also needs to be tended to by Jexa. 28-65. The Outlaws get an early lead in the Florida Mayhem.
The infra site here just buys you time, right? They're not going to push directly into this. They're going to wait for the walls to run out. Another good May wall.
Deadeye from Blase, denied by BQB. Like CQB as Jexa tries to run him down. Hydration has the Blizzard out already, but needs to make sure it's not eaten up by Gargoyle. Timing is very important here. The Mayhem still managed to stay together, even though they've traversed across a lot at this point. Let's see if they can block off this self-destruct. Chris has his own shield, he's fine. Tries to shield bash Muma. The enemy Ryan had his shield up. This is 2018. Chris just sitting back. Has a couple of repair packs, needs to be able to see who he's going to distribute those to. Look at that, Muma didn't want to get frozen. He tries to charge away immediately. Now he's making around the wall.
Beautiful from Yaki.
Just hold him up. The Mayhem have been in control from 0 to 72.
And the angles that BQB is taking, you can see on your screen here from the steps, it's so much space for Meko to close, and then the grapple is still up for BQB, so he can reposition, and then you essentially lose Meko for, you know, 5-10 seconds, which is the difference in a fight.
Meko very low here, and it's going to be the play. Muma tries to go for the shadow, gets nothing there, and is stunned himself. Charges straight into the pillar, but Raucus is at least caught in the Blizzard. He is taken down. The 2-for-2 trade, though, now as Karayan holds on to the Nano, goes for the shadow, does knock Meko to the ground, and that'll get him out of his Diva mech. But Gangnam Jin late in the fight is able to get shots from the backline, and Florida look comfortable. They look confident. They look ready to rumble, and they are going to go into overtime here with just Muma trying to drop onto the point. Power drive there is just going to get completely blocked, and even the adaptive shield is hardly going to keep him up. Taken down now as Gangnam Jin will not be bothered too much. Hydration's Doom Fist, we were hoping to see it under some more sunny conditions, but it's not to be, and Meko can't touch the point. He's flailed away. Map 1, handily tied up by the Florida Mayhem.
Yeah, maybe it's not just some new colors for Florida. Maybe it's actually a brand new look, as they were very strong here against the Houston Outlaws in map 1.
Pleased with this one. Houston now back to the drawing board at least. Coordination didn't quite seem to be there, but again, it is control. We get a different map type and another opportunity for them to get on the board. Just a moment.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Oh, let's go. Who's going to be joining us for the Houston Outlaws home match weekend, February 28th and 29th? And we go like Jonah, Xavier is going to be there, all the Outlaws. Atlanta are also going to be showing up, so check that one out live. Visit HOU.GG/Outlaws tickets to get your tickets. Proto, more Texas homestands. Let's go.
Yeah, Texas will be a ton of fun. I actually don't even think I've been to Houston. I assume
Really?
Houston's fun. Yeah, I've been to Dallas and Austin. Both of those are all right, so I'll give Houston some credit there. I'm sure they're fine as well.
I've not been there yet either, but I know the fans are surely going to be ready to receive and make some noise. I mean, hopefully they're making some noise right now because they need to maybe be getting the message across here that the Outlaws not gelling so well straight out of the gates here, especially in that first round on Busan.
Yeah, I mean, it was not good for the Outlaws there in map number 1. I mean, to put it politely. I mean, you saw Yaki get a lot of nice Maywalls splitting off the Outlaws from each other. I think having the Ana in play for Florida was really big in terms of just like constant biotic grenades, just stalling out the push from Houston, and then obviously not having a ton of healing with the Lucio and the Brigitte. It was difficult to heal all of that up before you went into the point. So I think it was a really good composition from Florida at the start. Looking to see changes on Houston's side.
And there's a reason why Gangnam Jin was so hyped up coming into this lead. In fact, it is that runaway duo that are causing a lot of the damage early on. Keeping on that kill feed late in the fight, you'll start to see the Ana really do work. And Sire player comes in for BQB. It starts to make you think, all right, is it now that we see the Widowmaker play?
Yeah, I mean, with the next map coming in, it'll be Havana. There's a lot of good Widowmaker sightlines on Havana, so maybe you see him play the Widowmaker. We know he can play other hit scans like McCree, so I think you probably feel more confident. Like we saw BQB play the Widowmaker, but if you're going to have somebody play Widowmaker for an extended period of time, or it's a crucial part of your strategy, you may as well put Saya player in.
I like the counter pick though, you know, against the team with the McCree. Provided the shields aren't in your way, you can really punish McCree at those longer ranges. Saya player is, in my opinion, one of the most impressive counter snipers, or, you know, sort of anti-widows in the league. It's a really roundabout way of putting it, but yeah,
he's one of the best Widowmakers against other Widowmakers.
Yes, and I mean, we got a good example of why that's important when we saw Toronto versus Paris on Havana as well.
Yeah.
But Logic stepped up at the second part of their attacking, you know, half on that map, and started to really, you know, push his team across the line. That Widowmaker presence so important. This map especially, very long sight lines, especially in that last stage of the map.
I think as well, you know, if you look at the Outlaws team, Outlaws don't make any subs. The Widowmaker player that you would think of for the Outlaws traditionally is a Linkser. Not in the lineup here for map number 2, so if they want to match it in the Widowmaker, who plays it? It probably is Blase. We haven't seen Hydration play like any Widowmaker thus far, really, throughout his Overwatch League career. Blase plays the hit scan, so you figure probably would be Blase who picks it up.
Blase, there was a player, you know, I feel like he's been around for so long, but we really haven't seen much of him, or much variety in terms of his picks. When we saw him play a lot of Brigitte, and then a lot of D.Va. This guy's a DPS player.
Look, yeah,
he's always been a DPS player.
I think maybe towards the later half of the year, you got to see what like damage dealers were actually supposed to be doing, right? You know, they were really kind of thinking they were coming into the league playing a ton of Zarya, playing a ton of Brigitte. So I really don't think you got to see their potential towards later in the season, and even then they weren't playing those heroes for so long that I don't even really think you saw their potential there. So I think now that everybody's had an off season, I know a full long period of time now with roll lock, with 2-2 in play, I think you're definitely going to see better performances from the damage dealers as time goes on.
As a chronic Carpe apologist, I also say the same excuse about him. You know, I had to watch him play Zarya all last year, and his stonks sort of dropped, but don't worry. Looks like the road is clear to come back. Raucus seems to have actually somehow injured himself. Not seriously, just to be clear, but enough to elicit some giggles from the rest of his cohort and to delay the start of the match very slightly.
It's one thing with the Outlaws, like they always look like they have just a fun vibe on stage. Like even on a loss, they definitely are a team that can kind of keep the confidence high, keep the.
Oh, I need healing.
So yeah, it seems like we're getting the paper towels out here.
The knives really are out.
Our first. I think he'll be fine. Looks like he just got to wipe his hands a little bit. I think he's good.
Raucus trying to eat a steak dinner in between maps. Had to eat fast, cut himself.
Excuse me, yeah.
These things happen. He is he's quite a foodie. Raucus is very much into his food. If you check out his Instagram, you probably see a little bit of those escapades there.
Like he's like, nice job. You've cleaned up. You're ready to go.
Meanwhile, Sire player had plenty of time to sit down and get himself accustomed to the setup. If you watch this guy, if you've never seen Sire Player before, just be wary if you have motion sickness. He makes very fast corrections to his aim and has very high sensitivity. So it can be hard to follow.
I was going to say, if you've never seen Sire Player before, clearly you haven't been paying attention to the 2 highlight packages we played of Sire Player.
That is true.
You've already seen it.
But
Havana's
now
up
you
next.
see him in action. Is that what you say to everyone who hasn't watched Apex?
No.
It's going to be Havana for map number 2. Enough blood is spilled on this stage. Now in game is where the rest of it's going to go.
Hey, look, Korean Contenders is on late at night for me, buddy. I'm old. I got to get to sleep early. 9 o'clock's my bedtime.
Matt, I see you go for coffee at 9 p.m. You can't give me that.
That's the downside of living in the same building, I guess. You always know my whereabouts.
All right, here we go. The Florida Mayhem will be on the attack. So this Houston Outlaws composition is what we will see from them on defense. So they go for the McCree again. And look, and there are more vertical sightlines for a Widowmaker on attack here that, you know, definitely should cause the Outlaws some concern. They need to protect Blase and Hydration if there is an Ash.
I want to see the Ash. I mean,
no way.
Yeah, you kind of think that Widowmaker is just a better version, so you may as well just play the Widowmaker. So if you're Houston, you got to get really close to this cart and deny space, because if you can give Sire Player a little bit of space, he's gonna find an angle.
Yaki comes out on the mate. He was on Doomfist briefly, but it was just a tease. Okay, so 2 players from the Outlaws are actually zoning Sire Player on the right side. Meko has used most of his defense matrix to keep Sire Player from drawing blood, and yet he's already chunked Muma down to half. He's taken strips off Blase. 3 haircuts, anyone?
And you hit a biotic grenade on a Muma, so it just kind of causes a little bit of panic here.
He's in trouble.
He's getting very low.
Karayan, though, keeps his shield up. He got a little bit low himself, but there it is. Eventually, the dominoes start to fall. With Muma and Jexa down, the rest of the Outlaws are essentially dead to rights. They just try and stall for as long as they can. And they have struggled, honestly, Matt, to find eliminations in this series so far.
I think the difference, though, has been Yaki with the fantastic May walls, but I also think it's the Ana biotic grenades, right? Playing the Ana against a composition with the Lucio and the Brig, which Brig still has the Inspire passive, and then still has the armor packs, right? But if everyone's biotic grenade, I mean, look at these May walls that come in. The Outlaws always have to use their May wall pretty much defensively to just try and keep their players alive.
Look at how low Meko is, and that's purely because he's trying to keep tabs on Sire Player.
And look at this space. How are you dealing with the Widowmaker up there?
Oh, man. A double Bionade and that payload at least isn't moving for the time being, but the Outlaws have essentially split themselves a little here. Boom is out of position or has been forced there. Either way, it's not good news for the main tank of the Outlaws. Karayan now gets a lazy swing to deal with Hydration, and Houston really need to put it together.
And Meko goes to push out Sire Player during that, because Sire Player has walls.
Yep.
And it's a 2v1. It's Sire Player and Gangnam Jin against Meko. They're able to kill him easily. And then on the cart, you still have your Diva in play and your Mei. You have a really good staying power, even with the Brigitte in that situation, because they have to play on the cart, the Outlaws. They'll actually come out of the spawn and rally, try and get a defense here.
Yaki doesn't wall straight away. He saves it so he can throw the Blizzard down and then remove the wall. Still, the Outlaws unaffected by it. Jexa gets into the back line and he gets rid of Sire Player. That's the job for this Lucio man. With Yaki being removed now, there's not a lot of bite to match the bark of the Florida Mayhem. The self-destruct over the top. Shatter is going to secure the kill for Hydration as he couldn't get back behind Muma's shield. Blase sits here now. Gargoyle descends and covers most of that damage with the defense matrix. Karayan drops to a self-destruct.
Oh, and you may have been able to push that if you didn't lose the main tank there, as now as the players come out to spawn for Florida Mayhem and some different heroes, just trying to get back towards the cart. But you had your main tank up, you're coming back on a Doomfist McCree, you have some open space, maybe you're able to make something happen. Naki will go to Mei, so you get off of the Widowmaker now, you're going to play McCree here for the Florida Mayhem.
Sire Player V Blase. A little bit tougher, I guess, for Widow to get safe, uncontested sightlines. Looks like Meko's doing his job, forcing Sire off that pick. Now only 1 minute. The Mayhem have to find something here, but it's going to be a sound barrier to start the fight. Jexa is in there like swimwear. Muma has a nice off angle, but he holds the Earth Shatter for the time being. Meko a little low, though. Hydration also feeling the heat right now.
And this is going to be Florida's best chance. They're going to rally. They have a nano boost, and they're most likely going to get a Deadeye out of this.
Gargoyle wanted to play for the high ground, forced to drop down. Here's the rally from the Outlaws. Deadeye from Sire Player. The wall protecting them for the most part, but Muma needs to be careful on that shield. Saya's ultimate doesn't get anything. Muma has no shield right now. He has to play safe. He has to go for the shatter. It works. Yaki and Gargoyle are knocked to the ground. Now the Outlaws kicking into high gear. Karayan gets a nano boost. Blase trying to duel Saya player on the right-hand side, but thinks better of it. Thinks a bit more about keeping the rest of his team standing up. 7 seconds left in the round, and time is short. Rockets has found 2 kills, and Karayan is stunned up by the flashbang, quickly taken down before Gargoyle could do anything about it. Now in overtime, it's just drips and drabs. Yaki has to try and keep this going, but in a 1v5, it's gonna be tough. Only seconds to go, and the Outlaws, that's a much better looking defense. They looked in disarray early on in that round, but all of a sudden, the Mayhem only had 1 fight left.
You know, it's a slight adjustment that the Outlaws made towards the end of control. Jexay was doing a nice job pushing out the Widowmaker on the Lucio. It's a strong defense there for the Outlaws. Not even a point A take for Florida. See if the Outlaws can even up the series after this.
The echoes of the battle that went down in the Wells Fargo Center, the grand finals last year, still ringing through the streets of Philadelphia. And we're back here, now in one of the most iconic buildings in the city. We're here at the Met. All done up recently, looking real nice. Built in 1908. Kind of crazy, Matt. Such a long-standing venue, now hosting an esports competition like this.
Probably didn't expect that when they built the venue.
Probably. No, they probably didn't think that, yeah, when they built this, would be used for this purpose, but...
They weren't big-brained enough at the time, right?
Insufficient wrinkling.
Yeah. So, the Outlaws, they probably won't switch on the... They probably won't play the Torb here on offense. I guess time to switch. Side player, though, going to be playing that Widowmaker on defense. That's why they substitute him in to play Widowmaker. The Outlaws do a nice job adjusting a little bit, right? It wasn't working when Mecha was going at him alone. Jexay just pressuring out the Widowmaker. On the Lucio, just using speed, closing the gap, then getting towards him. Much more effective. Saya player takes Rock's head off at the start of the game, so have a little bit of a wait here for him to get back to the Outlaws before things start.
Bear in mind, the Outlaws don't even have to get to the first checkpoint on this map. Florida were prevented from even doing that. That's why that first half was so short. They don't have a long way to go, but they need to respect Saya player. Once you start to give him the opportunity, he will break a game wide open. Again, Meko is trying to deal with him one-to-one. He just got worked in the neutral there. Even the poison mine being used to get rid of the Diva.
But his team is winning the fight on the cart. I mean, that's really all that matters. As long as Meko just gets in Saya's face and doesn't allow him to just get those, like, cheat-free kills at range that you can't fight back against, you don't feel bad about giving up the mech, right? So, the Outlaws get the cart rolling. They'll push up a little bit. Saya player does get some good damage, right? Getting close to walls, but all that damage is just pumping it into Meko, right? So once Meko gets his mech back, you'll probably see the same situation yet again. This actually is a better sightline for Blase, like in close quarters. Like you actually have a chance to contest that Widowmaker.
It puts him a bit more towards McCree's ideal range than Widow's.
You're waiting for a mech here before you get aggressive.
Yeah,
for
there's
Houston.
no point.
Yeah.
Push cart, there's been no contest yet from Florida. I mean, Florida have to stay here for 2.5 minutes. It's just an eternity in Overwatch terms. Here's the Deadeye from Blase. Not from the high ground. He dropped down. Doesn't find anything with it, though. The shielding was there for the Mayhem, and Yaki's close to a Blizzard. This could put the cap on this fight awfully fast. 2 minutes, 20 remaining, but Karai's already taken down. He gets burst by the Outlaws. The 1-for-1 is there. Meko is down, which means Sire Player has a bit of freedom to work, but there are ice walls and Reinhardt shields in the way, and he needs to find those picks on the Widow. Chris steps up, Raucus is down, shield protecting him from the Earth Shatter, and then the mutual charge. Not ideal for Muma. He was CC'd for much of that fight. And the Outlaws look so close to victory there, Matt.
And they thought that the shatter from Muma was going to be the thing that pushes them over the line, because they end up taking a Karai, and there's no Rhyme shield there. It gets blocked. I believe it's by Yaki's Ice Wall there from his May. It's been perfect, really.
Early Blizzard from Yaki
maps.
in that fight was important, for sure.
But still, I mean, you have 1 minute and 38 seconds to, you know, what, go 6 meters here for the Outlaws, so you still feel pretty good about their chances.
Perhaps the Outlaws would like to bait the Mayhem to drop to the low ground and subject themselves to the freezing cold of Hydration's Blizzard. Karayan will trade a little bit passively, but there's a wall behind him there. No charge, it's eaten! Gargoyle shuts down the Blizzard from Hydration, and that's what Houston was supposed to use to finish the map. Now, that's off the table. Hydration's in trouble. Sire play with a very tight angle with that May wall in play, and it looked like Meko didn't actually know where Sire was, or he had to back away. Either way, the Widowmaker for Florida is sitting pretty in the back.
Now you're down to 1 minute. They're gonna let Meko just exist here in the middle of the street.
Just exist.
Yeah. Man, and this is a pretty, I mean, for like a Diva stall here, there's not a spot where like Meko can reset and like jump out of the map or jump off the map. So lucky he's not just still alive, just kind of dancing around. Is you will have Sound Barrier here. Sound Barrier going to go into Blizzard though, potentially Shatter. You can buy time with Wall, so this will be the infra sight here that comes from Saya players.
That's so annoying. The Outlaws, this is their fight. This is where they have to win it, and now they're revealed.
And we're going to get this down to the wire here, and you're going to have the Nano Boost Blizzard Shatter combo for Florida. Probably a rally during this, as you look like really good to get a hold.
You asked for Scrappy, ladies and gentlemen. You're in Philly after all. You're about to get it. Blase goes down. The Outlaws are missing an offensive option here, and it'll be a long time before he's back in the fight. Maybe they try and stall, play it safe, get the McCree in the mix. They're not going to be given a chance though. Yaki's trying to push forward with the Blizzard now, and it's a high fly and self-destruct that finds nothing. Karayan had the shield to block it off, and Raucus goes down before he could get the Sound Barrier from Jexa. The Outlaws now pouring through their ultimate options, but they're running out of players. Blase returns to the fight. The Deadeye now gets to be used. Karayan's shield is taken down. It's a mutual charge between the Reinhardts, and Muma has to backstep a little bit. His Shatter goes straight into the shield of Karayan. He's felled by the Fire Strike. Overtime getting low. Meko tries to step up, and he's knocked to the ground as well. Raucus flailing desperately in both senses of the word, with the Mayhem hold off just where it looked like the Outlaws were home free.
What a defense from Florida. The Outlaws as well. I mean, they had a great defense, but their Saya player on the Widowmaker just opening up that last fight with that to Blase. The infra sight gives him a huge advantage.
Absolutely. Shatter's being blocked as well. Karayan looking really, really good on the Reinhardt against Muma in the head-to-head. We're heading to half-time now. The Mayhem up 2-0.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
We're 2 maps in, and Florida is currently rolling the Houston Outlaws. They're up 2-0 at the break. Hello and welcome back in our Overwatch League studios here in Los Angeles. It's time for a game break, presented by, of course, we all love it, She's a Grooves.
Is it?
Hey. And if you missed the Watchpoint pre-show, I'm still joined by Higgs as well as Costa and Reinforce. Let's dive straight into the action, talk about that first map. Specifically, I think we have to highlight compositions. Yeah, it's tough, it's rough, and we didn't really find answers. Why are the Houston Outlaws rolling with that Lucio brick? Go.
I can't give it to you.
Oh.
Like, Lucio Brig, the problem that I see with this comp is that you are so one-dimensional. You have to run at them. Because Brig doesn't really heal other than her armor packs, she has to hit something. So you need to be aggressive so that you can output the healing. My question is, why are they doing it when Raucus is very good at Ana? It's probably his best character. It is the meta. Why are they trying to reinvent the wheel?
It limits the Houston Outlaws so much because Florida Mayhem just now gets to dictate the pace of the game. And it's all up to Florida Mayhem to really just run the game, use ultimates their way, take the fights they want to take. Because Houston Outlaws, they're so one-dimensional in perhaps like running over the Florida Mayhem or just taking point control. And so Florida Mayhem, they can just play around that. And you saw what happened. Florida Mayhem, they just took the fights they wanted. They let Saya player and BQB do their thing. And my God, I am disappointed because I thought we'd see some great Overwatch, but this is just tragic.
You guys think this is a clear case of, look guys, we practiced this very composition, now we're just going to stick it out until the end of time?
Change
is this
it up.
happening?
Change it up, right? Because then you have Saya player and he's swapping on to the Widow. And Florida Mayhem, they're clearly just out-countering Houston Outlaws.
You seem to think Overwatch is a game about adjustments.
It's just don't be ridiculous, Johnny. Come on, let's calm down.
No, because you're with me.
I know, but
both of us were livid. We were livid in the green room because we didn't get it, and it was so hard to watch.
They're veteran players. They should know better, and they have the adaptability. Please, Houston, I beg of you, do it.
If we can just roll.
We're looking at the second map first. Or is that what you wanted?
Yes, I wanted to see this
well,
because
this
is
just for you,
the prime example of Saya player just taking an off angle. And Houston Outlaws, they're just standing on the cart. They're not doing anything. They're just getting poked down. And Saya player with the Widowmaker is outranging the McCree and he gets the off angle. And Houston Outlaws, they're not allowed to do anything with their composition because they're not running over Florida Mayhem. So this is just so frustrating.
But
I'm sorry.
To give Houston at least half a thumb up, if that's a thing, it's probably not, but we're making it a thing. They did fully hold them, at least. I mean, is that a glimmer of hope for you, Hex?
Nope.
Okay, well, moving on.
Hey, my thing is
trying, guys, I'm trying.
Hey, I'm trying to move us along here. I got nothing to elaborate on that. Nope, it's not.
The issue becomes is like, I think that was on Florida. That was a mistake by Florida. They played super slow. They played straight into Houston's hand. They didn't adapt themselves. Like, you know exactly how Houston's going to try and play. On their attack, I think they only got 3 or 4 actual fights. In 4 minutes, you should get more fights than that, especially on a map like Havana.
Well, you know, guys, what time it is?
Crunch time.
That's exactly right. It is time for Crunch Time presented by She's a Grooves. So, who crunched the hardest in this very map?
I think you have to give this one to Gargoyle. He had an incredible May. This was the moment that the Houston hopes and dreams split apart, so they had the full hold. They're walking up with the Mail. They have the advantage. All they have to do is get it down. To Florida's credit, they know because they're playing the Widowmaker that Houston has to go fast. The longer the fight goes on, the more chances side player has of just killing someone. So they try and force them out. Big props to Gargoyle for eating it, and that's the moment the map ended.
Yeah, you have to give some credit to Florida Mayhem because they really understood their win condition in this match. And I thought that Karyan and Gargoyle, they did a great job. Ping-ponging is a term we use in Overwatch when the main tank and the off tank, they take turns contesting the objective so they can stay alive and they don't get pressured down at once. Florida Mayhem, they did a perfect job of doing that. They let Karyan take a lot of damage, and then Gargoyle came in, he ate the Blizzard, and then he throws up the self-destruct, which creates more space for Florida Mayhem and Saya players. So credit to Florida Mayhem because they played really well.
Okay, so now since you are a beacon of hope and positivity, I want to put you in the driver's seat here. If you were on that Houston Outlaws coaching staff, what's your advice going into the second half?
Yeah, I'll just add this to my resume too, and it goes kind of like what you guys said with the compositions, but I just have very simple coaching advice for Houston. Go! Just go fight, please! You have the Lucio, you have this. The fights that they won on Busan's second point were, hey, let's run them over. Now you've got space for your McCree, but just watching them sit around, mill about, and even take an extra like 3 seconds when everyone's there and everyone's ready. So, very simple coaching advice. Go, for the love of God, go.
I think it's solid. I like it's concise. It's very easy to follow. I don't think there's much working around there. So thanks so much, Hex. And Outlaws, you know, just listen to Hex. It's as simple as that. Let's see how that goes. And for now, we're heading back to Philadelphia for the second half. And then we'll be right back after the match for some watch point reset. See you then.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch.
Looking beautiful out here in Philadelphia the last couple of days, but that chill wind has definitely been cutting out on the streets. In here, though, in the hallowed halls of the Met, it's been heating up, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I wish the Florida Mayhem would have brought some of the Florida weather with them when they decided to come here to Philly, but they look
brutal.
Yeah, I mean, they look tremendous in the first half of the series, up 2-0 here. Potential to close it out in our next map, and I just want to see some signs of life for the Outlaws. Like, I thought, like, the beginning of the control, they win that first fight. They don't win much of anything after that. Good, strong defense on Havana, but you gotta win that map on offense, right? You gotta come back and take it, and they end up not being able to even get the first. I mean, you didn't even have to get the first point. You had to get a little bit less than the first point. They're not able to do that.
It feels like definitely a couple of things went wrong when it came time for those pivotal ultimates to break open team fights. Blase has a dead eye, immediately gets his head taken off in that second to last fight. And then you realize the Outlaws have to go into overtime before he even returns. Let's talk about a team comp we've seen a little bit here, because for the Outlaws, they almost seem like they're trying to recreate GOATs.
I mean, yeah,
they've got this Lucio Brig composition.
Yeah, I think when we saw GOATs as a composition in the Overwatch League, just in Overwatch in general, I think it opened up a lot of people's eyes in terms of trying to build comps around sustainability. And I think that's what you're trying to see teams almost recreate here, right? You have May, who's pretty tanky for a damage dealer. You're having Brig come back in the mix, right? The Reinhardt, the Diva. You don't have like a Zen, let's say, because you can't play the Zen, so you play somebody like McCree, you can put down some damage, but you're seeing the effects still of just how dominant that comp was in the overall game. Still have its effect with teams trying to create compositions that can be extremely sustainable and hold points.
It's a race to find the safest composition to play and master it first. We'll keep an eye on that as the season goes, and I'm sure our experts back in LA will be covering it, but we have a substitution with BQB coming back in for Sire Player, who, you know, he gets a well-deserved break. Maybe he's in the ice bath already, Matt.
And we talked, well, I talked about it a little bit, but how does Sire Player fit into this roster? Potentially, like, as a Widowmaker specialist. Bring him in when you want to play the Widowmaker. You can also, you know, in a meta like this, you can switch over to McCree. So You bring BQB in for a little bit more flexibility. Can still play a Widowmaker, just not at the same level.
Yaki's going to play your May day and night. He's just going to dominate on that hero. Eichenwalde is going to be our third and potentially final map of this series. Now, if you're an Outlaws fan, you're hoping that they can stretch this series out a bit more. I mean, it doesn't feel great coming up here and sort of getting rolled over on Havana like that. A chance here to stay alive in this series, and we'll see that Lucio Brigitte set up from the Florida Mayhem as well, although Gangnam Jin, he looks so deadly on the Ana, and the desk back in LA said they wanted to see Raucus's Ana as well, which was something he was famous for. Maybe not today though. Houston are locked into this comp.
Yeah, I think Houston really values the speed of the Lucio to close the gap, where Florida, they don't really need that as much as they want to play with the Ana. So figure out what's going on, is we do have a little bit of an issue. Looks like Chris has one of our techs behind him pointing at the screen. Usually means something wrong.
Yeah, he couldn't lock Brigitte for some reason.
It's like, hey, for whatever reason, I'm Brigitte right now.
So we'll see what the word is as soon as we find out what's going down there on stage. We'll be able to relay it to you. But yeah, so we are actually seeing the Mayhem want to play much more of that Ana. Okay, they're going for that Ana Brigitte comp, which wasn't really one we saw tons of last year.
Well, they know that the Outlaws with the Lucio are going to use the speed to try and push in, use the Maywall, split players off. They haven't been able to do that to Florida as well as they like. Florida has actually had the really good Maywalls to split them off, and then plus the Ana Biotic Grenade, the Nano Boost to keep the Reinhardt alive if he does get split off. They've been able to be much more like a defensive team here in Florida, where they want to allow the push to come in, get good value with the Biotic Grenades as Houston runs at them.
Don't you think, though, that the Mayhem would want some speed if they're trying to engage or trying to get past these chokes? Like, why are they, like, is it worth getting rid of that Lucio?
I mean, you know you have a huge healing advantage when you have the Ana in play. If they want to play the Lucio and the Brigitte, they have to be kind of clumped up together with Inspire and then also Lucio's healing aura. Most likely, you're not going to sit on healing aura that much. It's going to be a lot of speed. So you're relying on a lot of the, healing with the armor packs, but then also the Inspire from the Brigitte. And if you can just negate the healing from one or two players, especially in an AoE type of scenario, that they have to play around those heroes with the AoE healing, you can deny pretty much anything with that Ana.
And this man on your screen probably pretty jealous of Gangnam Jin right now. Would like to show some of that signature Ana play over the years.
I mean, it's not like it's unavailable to him. Play it.
You can definitely lock it in. It's not disabled in lobby. It may as well be though, as far as his coaching staff are concerned, because he has been pretty much stuck on that pick so far today. But his Zenyatta as well. Raucus, quite the aggressive Zen at times. I think we loved a lot of his Ana play, the sleep darts and that stuff. And it's more of a throwback to last year and before. The Outlaws really trying to drill down this specific composition.
Yes, I think as we get from this week into next week, this week we only have the one homestand, right, with 4 games. But I think you're going to see the meta start to solidify a little bit. And then once we get into hero pools, it's going to get all flipped on its head, right? I think each week is just going to create its own little meta, its own adventure.
Yeah, so to keep you guys updated, it's just a cable being replaced at the moment, I believe, on Chris's PC. It's just a monitor cable, so should be sorted out fairly soon. Blase, we've obviously seen him play McCree quite a lot of the time. I don't think, there's been anything hugely impactful there. I think he struggled to find decent lines of sight.
I don't think he's been bad on the McCree. I think it's just the May walls and then the Biotic Grenades from Florida has really kind of thrown a lot of what Houston wants to do out the window. Like Houston probably gets the positioning they want. 2 players get Biotic Grenaded. They have to kind of back up, then they're split off, they can't get together, and also you get split off, there's no way they can heal like the Outlaws unless you kind of get the line of sight with the Brigitte with the armor pack. That's not a ton, right? So it puts them in a very difficult position.
Man, you got to hand to the Florida Mayhem, right? Changing their colors to runaway colors just to attract runaway players to their team. Kind of like that, kind of clever.
It's a way cooler colorway. I mean, I kind of want a Florida jersey. It looks pretty sweet, but we should be getting right back in the game here shortly. Looks like the Outlaws on defense, they won't be running anything too special with what they have locked in. Pretty much same thing they've been running. The McCree May, the Rhine Diva.
All right, we're going to go to a break while we get a monitor replaced. Don't go too far. The action will continue.
Muma's making a name for himself as potentially one of the best Western main tanks in the game.
Oh, you're a god! You're a god! Big chunk of smoke from Muma. This is so good. Come on!
Muma looking very, very comfortable on that Winston roll when they're playing dive, and when he gets to flank, like this is where he excels at.
Good shatter from Muma. Oh, no, didn't see that coming. Come on! Giannis had the look on when dismay, and he realized that his teammate was about to get crushed to a pulp.
Oh yeah, that was a great highlight there. You gotta respect a bloke who knows what he needs to do. Yeah, I mean, as you heard our voices over many of those highlights, Muma is delighted as ever since he's set foot on the stage. And I think we heard, in Bren's words, top Western main tank. I think that is a very easy concession to make.
Yeah, I think Muma's been an impact player the first 2 years in the Overwatch League. I fully expect him to be very strong this year as well. The first 2 maps, not ideal for the Outlaws.
No.
They find themselves down 2-0. Like I said, we were going to be close to getting in a game. I was mistaken. We have to have a monitor, seems like replaced on the stage. So Tech's working on that right now.
I mean, yeah, but on the note of Muma, of course, when it really counted, we often saw his Winston step up. He played a bunch of wrecking ball towards the end of last year. And, a really important part of the Outlaws actually picking up some of those big wins. I mean, remember, their game against the San Francisco Shock. I mean, that's why we were so surprised they lost to Florida at the end of last year, because they'd just come off a win against the would-be 2019 Overwatch League champions. So the Outlaws have had these flashes of glory. They've not been able to chain it together, and they're looking for that. With this new roster and this man still at the helm, a franchise main tank for Houston.
Well, what you probably thought for the Outlaws in the offseason was if we surround Muma, with some more damage dealers who have some more flexibility in their hero pools, and then also, bring in some additions to the support core, and then also find a real partner in terms of flex tank, right? Whether you had Cool Matt and Spree on the roster, you still have Spree, but find somebody like Meko, who's like a top-tier diva player in the Overwatch League, that you could make a run at it. Right now, just with this first 2 maps, doesn't look great, but I mean, still a very long season ahead.
He does have the highest Earth Shatter efficiency in the league, which obviously is closely related to how many people you can hit with that Earth Shatter out of a possible 6, and it takes that rate. So I'm pretty sure I heard reports from seismologists that the San Andreas fault is now twice as wide after him spending 2 years in LA at the Blizzard Arena, so no shock there. Shatters for days.
Florida trying to ice themselves, right? Ice the kicker, so to speak.
They're trying to ice their Brigitte player.
We've been way too good this far. Let's all calm down, lose all momentum.
I mean, Yaki's been icing Houston the Outlaws the whole series so far, bro, so gotta spread it around a little bit.
Allow Houston to just stumble on back in.
Yeah, some more discussion there. We'll see if that issue is resolved soon enough. Florida, if you're just joining us, 2 maps to 0 in this series, and we play first to 3 here. So if you watched a bunch last year, you would have seen us go to 4 maps in every one of those series. Now that may not be necessary, which is tough for teams that tend to sort of get swept in these series, Matt. They play one less map.
Yeah, every map still does matter because you lose the maps.
But now they really matter.
Series. Yeah, now they actually matter. Is in the past, we just kind of lied to you a little bit. I believe there's a wave that's starting directly above me in the upper balcony. I can't see if it's continuing all the way across, but it looks like it's oh no, we were gaining momentum here towards the end, so we got the wave going here on the second floor. Our floor, nobody wants to do the wave over here, but
we got the chillers up here.
Yeah,
these are actually the 5-head, the Apex watchers. They're analyzing, they're writing notebooks, man.
I think the VIP in the bar on this floor, so everybody's using the pause time to get rehydrated.
I think some discussion going on in all chat here for the Outlaws as well. Yeah. Obviously, it's all good fun. Can't see all chat in Overwatch League games. I know you're devastated about that.
I'm extremely devastated. I mean, it definitely doesn't impact me at all.
I vote to have all chat on for the talent takedown if we have that again.
Oh, yeah. Well, why would you want that on? I don't think you've ever won a talent takedown.
No, it wouldn't be because I'm going to win, because of what I'm going to say.
Yeah. I believe that's what you said
the way that I've succeeded in life is by what I've said, not the games I've played. That way, it doesn't matter who wins on screen. You're still getting paid.
Oh, that's a pretty good technique.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's a lot of propaganda, and you're not really doing anything. You're just telling people you're doing stuff.
Yeah. What's wrong with that? Isn't that what everybody on social media does? Rise and grind, baby. Get that bread. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay, bro. Yeah, cool.
Rise and grind. It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Just what? Yeah.
Won't be seeing me rise and grind. I don't wake up till 12. As we finally get back into the game. Philadelphia has no allegiance to Houston or Florida. They just want to see more gameplay.
They want to see blood, Matt. They want to see blood.
Finally get back in.
Okay, again, Yaki on that May assignment. And look at this, Florida. Oh, wow, they don't need a Lucio to get past this choke. The Outlaws just let them in. Houston just want to group up before they try and push it with a speed boost now. Nice little wall from Yaki to try and prevent all of Houston from getting the jump on them. And the sleep dart on Muma is what lets them get away. Now the Outlaws have kind of lost the impetus, and that speed boost won't be available.
I mean, it's what I was talking about before, right? A wall comes in, the speed boost comes in, then Florida reacts because they're a little bit more reactive as a competition as they get a kill on a Blase here early. The nano boost on a Karayan as he goes over the top. But then they use their own Maywall Florida, and then they use the Biotic Grenade now with a nano boost to break open the point.
The Outlaws are having none of it. They are backing away immediately. They do have Jexa alive, so there is potential that the Lucio could taxi someone back to the point, but yeah, they're going to have a crack at trying to stall this out a little longer. Okay, you don't want that, because now they're going to stagger. Not only have they lost the point, and the Mayhem are spawning closer, but it goes back to spawn.
Because now it doesn't even really give them a great chance to be able to defend here at the gate. Florida, they can push on forward. We'll see what Houston decides to do. Looks like they're trying to back up. Maybe you can taxi Meko back, but...
Because he spawns all the way at the back of the map now.
The payload start to move through the game, through the doors. Big fire strike there connected on the Muma, and then also a 3-player Biotic Grenade. So got to use some of those armor pack charges to heal up. And a pause.
Well, there you have it. Whilst the Outlaws are in midair, Florida see them coming and think, maybe we need some time to
what's better than a
deliberate
Maywall? A pause. Let's just, instead of just pausing their push, let's just pause the whole game. Why not?
So we did expect that there was potential as the game restarted. There may be a reason to stop it again, as I think they're trying to tweak things with Chris's monitor.
No, looks like potentially Karayan now. So looks like maybe somebody else on Florida. Florida just bringing so much heat that they've overheated themselves.
Yeah, essentially. Karayan, I mean, dishing out too many fire strikes. He's fried his graphics card. It's all over. No, he's just got a couple texts with him now, and they are trying to make sure his audio is working properly. And that he can be heard by his teammates. Does he have the jiggly leg thing going on? Is that why the screen's shaking so much? Maybe.
Yeah, not sure. It's right now, I mean, this is a tough spot to be in for the Outlaws, right? Because they're just about to drop down and like have a big push come through, and then it just kind of like once we get out of this, it's going to be chaos because there's just players just ready to just battle on the cart.
Yeah, I mean, Houston are essentially in midair. I mean, a bit annoying for them as they're trying to make the play. The game gets paused out, but not a whole lot you can do about it. Because obviously, if you just joined us, some of what we saw in our first couple of maps, Florida Mayhem, that first round on Busan was very much one-sided.
I mean, both rounds on Busan were pretty heavy in favor of Florida. Round one, definitely more in favor of Florida. See all the shatters going down here.
A lot of people falling over.
Yep.
And that's what Overwatch is, I guess, at its core. Cartoon characters chasing each other, making each other fall over. We need a hero that throws down a banana peel, perhaps.
Makes people fall over.
Yes.
Then we went into point number 2, and the Outlaws, they do get control here first, and it takes a while for the Florida Mayhem to break it open using the Widowmaker. But really, it is all Florida, map number 1. Map number 2 is the one that Houston let get away, as Houston puts together a really strong defense. They don't even let Florida get that first point. But then Houston, they answer back with not even that much progress. They barely kind of lose that map. They get very close, within 6 meters of winning the map, but that puts us at a 2-0 lead for the Florida Mayhem.
Now, Houston really trying to play within the confines of those shields, otherwise Sire play would punish them. Didn't quite work out. We're going to take a short pause, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to head over to our friends in Los Angeles to break down what we've seen so far.
Hello and welcome back, Surprise Desk, everyone. It is Zoe, and I'm still joined by the crew. Hex, Costa, as well as Reinforced. Lots of pauses going on. Hex wanted to make a joke. Go.
Oh, you can't say
Wow! Loves it up.
Whoa! No,
it's
not even a joke. This is dead serious. I
Okay.
think they're just giving the Houston fans time to find that last bit of hope. That very tiny bit that's at the bottom
can
of their
still
shoe.
reverse
The
sweep.
soul. Oh, okay.
Everything's possible in the world of Overwatch.
Before they have to just give it up.
Have you given up on Outlaws yet?
I didn't pick the Outlaws to begin
Okay,
with.
you never actually were on board.
have you given
However,
up on
this
the
young man over
Outlaws
there.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know why. Well, look, okay, like I don't know why I had faith in the Houston Outlaws, but then again, they're playing against the Florida Mayhem, which has the second
have
all-time
that
worst
was-
winning.
that was what?
Yeah, but you know, historically speaking, it's hard because that brand, that tag sticks to them.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about what we saw, though, because I think one of the big talking points for Florida Mayhem has time and time again been players such as Saya Player. We didn't see him up in the roster in the first map. BQB, how did you guys feel he actually did?
I was really impressed. I was one of those people that when I saw the starting rosters and Saya Player wasn't on, I'm like, I feel like this is the meta that Saya Player is going to play. Like McCree, Widow, that seems to be a lot of what's being played these days. But then we saw BQB, so I was like a little questionable about if he's going to perform, but he's been great. He's just doing everything that they need from him. You saw them sub in Saya Player on Havana. He obviously popped off on Widow, so I'm actually liking the DPS lineup of this.
Yeah, I agree with you. They popped off for sure, but I also think that Houston Outlaws is playing into the hands of BQB and Saya Player. So both BQB and Saya Player, they have the room to actually perform and pop off because Houston Outlaws aren't pressuring them as much. So when you look at Spawn here, I mean, Saya Player, he's just taking these off angles and just shooting down the Houston Outlaws one by one. Meko is really the only player that can really contest Saya Player. But over time, I mean, Saya Player is going to win that duel. So I think that Saya Player and BQB, they look great. But also Houston Outlaws is doing a poor job at shutting them down.
Yeah, you had a great call, too, even when Meko kind of suicides in there. He did buy a lot of space for his team, and sometimes that's a meme of like, oh, I created space, but no.
Been there.
He did completely distract the Widow from the other side, open up space, and you saw Houston actually had a good push off of it.
Yeah, and we saw Saya Player getting such crucial pickups towards the end in the fights there to actually allow them to get that map, win that map, get that point. What do we see from the DPS players so far from the Houston Outlaws? Are Hydration and Blasé, are they living up to expectations, or are you guys a little bit disappointed looking at you
No,
here?
look at
Reinforced?
Costa.
I'm looking at
we
you.
will look at me.
Okay, all right.
Look at me. I'm the captain now. The thing about, we were looking at the stats of Hydration to Yaki on the May after the first two maps. It wasn't even close. Hydration is getting massively outplayed in terms of just raw damage, players frozen, just across the board. So as much as it is hard when your team is losing, I want to see Hydration step up because he is the crux of this sort of meta. He needs good walls. He needs to support Muma. All that kind of stuff needs to come together for them to win.
Nice toss there with the pen. 10 out of 10.
I think Houston Outlaws, and we mentioned this before, I think they just need to be a bit more decisive because that goes with playing the Brig and the Lucio and the May and the Reinhardt. You want to be aggressive and push forward, right? But they're just taking their time and been so slow. And I think when you're a May player, you need to be decisive on those May walls and really capitalize on it. So it's not really helping a Hydration stats that Houston Outlaws are playing so disorganized and pretty poorly. And that goes for Muma as well. We know Muma is a main tank that's capable of doing a lot of plays. He's great at hitting charges and earth shatters, and he's usually pretty aggressive. But this time around, he dies a lot, and he's hesitating a lot, and not really getting the space to shine on the Reinhardt. So I think Houston Outlaws as a team, I think they are struggling because they're indecisive.
Well, let's hope they can change it up on Eichenwalde. Map number 3 is still pending. So we're heading back to Philadelphia. Matt and Mr. X, that's actually both the same person. So let's go with Mitch and Mr. X taking it over in Philadelphia with either the game or more interesting anecdotes from the two of them.
Things still firing up here in Philadelphia. And the crowd still keeping it loud in this pause break. A lot of energy, you're going to need more of it over the next couple of days here, especially once the Fusion take to the stage. Currently, we're in a bit of a pause here. Map 3 in this series between the Florida Mayhem and the Houston Outlaws. Eichenwalde is the map, and we're in the first half. Florida Mayhem are on the attacking side.
But I see a countdown under the pause.
Now the game's going to unpause and Houston going to drop down. This is going to jump straight into the action, so you're ready. Yeah, fire strike immediately on Yaki. Karayan hits the wall and Muma finds the charge. Houston had so much time to figure out what they were going to do after they dropped on down, but there's still a fight to be had here. Raucus pushing in, finally getting to flex his muscles on this Brig a little bit more, but his shield's busted.
Hey,
Neko follows up.
Instead of trying to sort out the tech with their team, Houston figured out where everybody was and they come back.
You know what they
Muma
did?
hits a big shatter.
They paused the game. They walked across the stage. They looked at where the Florida Mayhem players were standing, and then they divvied out responsibilities to each player. Here's who you have to go after. Easy.
And then they grabbed the snack and then came back.
Yep. Yaki has a blizzard.
For the Outlaws on D with their own blizzard.
Then I from Blase, immediate wall and a back away. Nice response. I mean, you're trading a May wall for an ultimate. That's probably worthwhile, especially when you get picked like that. What? Blase goes down. BQB was on the flank. He got onto the ramparts, and now he's starting to deal with Meko. If Meko can't push him off, then no one can in this situation. Double blizzard goes down. Both Mays using those ultimates here. Gangnam-jin getting rid of Muma though. Even without the Reinhardt, the Outlaws are still pushing on though. Jexu got a good late sound barrier in that fight. Now just trying to keep hydration alive, but even his boosted healing couldn't do it. Back onto the payload, attempt to boot, but Raucus is low. He didn't go for the rally. And now it's just going to be stalled from the last vestigial members of the Outlaws. Keep this going, get Gangnam-jin will be a huge bonus, and they do. Jexa chases Diana down.
Yeah, but you're going to have the May and the McCree come back here. For Florida, Deadeye just displaces some people off of the point. Then you're going to have a self-destruct from Meko that just gets his mech back. So Florida, in the end, will keep the payload moving here. The high ground now, the Outlaws are going to try and jump down and get on this with the rally.
And Meko trying to keep tabs on the rest of the Mayhem. They went through the castle. They tried to gang up on hydration, but a quick ice block keeps the Brazilian national alive. Meko from the high ground, but it's Raucus taken down by Gargoyle, self-destruct, but on the high ground is Blase. He's looking for a bit of action now, but immediately Gargoyle sniffs him out. Great response time from Florida's Diva, and Blase didn't have the sightlines that he was hoping for.
And I was shocked at the beginning of the previous fight, how they were able to get that early pick-off. Because all that they did for the Florida Mayhem is they ran Chris and BQB up to the high ground, and the Outlaws had control of it, and they're just able to get one solid pick off. But you see this positioning that BQB is. He's going to try and get this high ground.
Blase Deadeye. Meko busy dealing with BQB. And there's an ice wall thrown in the way. Shadow comes down there, and that was Muma attempted to connect. May have caught Karayan briefly, but it didn't look like it. The Outlaws now have a blizzard though, cycling through those ultimates. Can they stop BQB though? It has to be an ice wall. BQB, he's trying to see Raucus.
Be a big blizzard though. I mean, they got everybody packed in this corner.
Yeah. Sound barrier as well. Here comes that blizzard. Hydration trying to get out of it, but he can't. Muma's also frozen stiff. Ice block for hydration, and his own blizzard keeps him alive. Blase's able to back around a corner, but a shatter came in, and it was blocked. Great wall from hydration to keep Blase alive, and now they're putting all their eggs in the cowboy basket, trusting Blase with this nano boost. Nice little glancing hit onto the payload there, but doesn't seem like Yaki's too bothered. Blase, can he hide from this one? Yes, but it still trades out. One bomb each. Now Muma, oh man, he could have got behind the payload and broken line of sight, man, but he just got picked off.
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to be able to push it straight away here for Florida. Karayan actually got frozen up there, which ends up taking him out to that self-destruct. Raucus makes the change from the Brigitte over to the Ana, so it's the hero we've wanted to see him on all day. We'll see if this makes the difference. They'll still commit to this Lucio.
Blase is at the front of the pack here. Jexa speed boosting the Outlaws in. They want to control this high ground. There might be a sneaky payload push happening on the bridge right now. The Mayhem have a couple players on it, so the Outlaws need to quickly transition here. They've gotten BQB and Chris. The Mayhem willfully split their team up to try and sneak the payload in. It doesn't work.
I mean, look, they get cart progress, but I mean, there was no way they were going to sneak that one all the way through. I mean, a ton of area still to cover. Now, Jexa will switch over to the Brigittes. They're going to go with a mirror matchup. So this is what I've been looking forward to see the whole series. Like, have the Outlaws finally switch off of the Brigitte Lucio competition, play with the Ana, Now you have the high ground, right? You have the advantage in terms of landing these biotic grenades.
Again, Houston have looked good defensively. Let's see if they can close the half out with only one checkpoint given to Florida. Deadeye for Blase as he drops down. This will buy a bit of time. Florida inside the castle. They want to go to the bridge. Raucus might have a pretty huge biotic grenade opportunity here if he knows how to play it. But Blase and Jex have gone down. This has gone completely wrong. The Houston Outlaws were trying to play together. They got pincered essentially by the Florida Mayhem, and now Muma has to make something happen with this nano boost, but there's a blizzard there. That's two frozen. Hydration was inside his ice block and couldn't contribute to the fight. Florida roll over the top.
Houston had the advantage there, and it's Gargoyle who touches, and they have 3 players on the card for Houston, and he just is able to take out Blase, and he doesn't even like get decked for it. He ends himself. Oh man, what?
Matt is beside himself.
That was not good. And, I mean, do you have an advantage, an opportunity to get a hold here, like with how like this series been? You had the opportunity there for Houston. 2-player biotic grenade on both your tanks, so you're gonna have to heal this up before you can engage.
Look at Muma's shield. It's out already, and he was low. I think he was hoping to try and charge to follow up with the self-destruct, but there was no chance to even get close there. Hydration trying to be patient, using that shield of Muma's. He has a blizzard ready to roll.
Rally here as well for the Florida Mayhem. We'll see if they decide to invest this. They're just trying to push the payload on through. They actually are hiding Chris, so he doesn't get caught potentially in this blizzard.
Or actually, maybe he was trying to shepherd BQB through for a bit of a flank. Now they have a crossfire set up. I think Hydration's going to have to pull the trigger pretty darn soon. Karayan frozen up. There's the blizzard right at his feet. There's no way he's getting away. Muma countercharges to keep Karayan inside the blizzard. They're trying to catch him. The nanoboost comes in though. Muma's gone down. Houston's plan was to try and get the enemy Reinhardt frozen up, but it doesn't work out. Florida saw straight through it, and now BQB has the safest sightline he could ask for. Rolling forward now, the Deadeye on the payload, waiting for someone to challenge it. It was Muma trying on the wrecking ball to keep this going. Hydration drops on in a little bit of extra shield, tries to get a rocket punch on the way out now, and Raucus on the Muma in the back right corner, trying to make some healing happen with this Moira, but again, he's just switching towards the end of the round. Diana wasn't enough, Moira unlikely to do much more. Muma knocked to the ground there, and that was sharp from BQB to finish.
That's a map completion for the Florida Mayhem. In a spot where it looked like the Outlaws were going to get a hold before they took checkpoint B. Florida able to break through that. Then they combo the ultimates to complete the map. It puts Houston in a very difficult spot, as now Houston will have to complete the map and go into OT for an opportunity to extend this series.
And then attacking push on Havana really ground to a halt for Houston. They need to overcome the jitters here and make a big attack and keep themselves alive in this series.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor.
We love ourselves a self-aware game developer in this household, and the Brigitte skin, I mean, what a great way to immortalize one of the most ridiculous periods of competitive Overwatch history.
I mean, I'll get it. I'll switch to the Brigitte goat skin. If my team maybe
you would never
out of the... No,
you won't even queue as support. I don't want having this conversation.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm lying.
But you
I'm going to get the skin. I'm just never going to use it because I'm never going to play Brig.
If you're not a selfish player and you do play support sometimes, you might better pick that up for yourself. 200 tokens if you still got them. Spend them out there. I got that one straight away.
Yeah, or if you're like me and you want to wait 9 minutes to get a queue potentially, you know, because I'm so high on the DPS charts, you know.
Yeah,
you know
yep.
Then
you are high.
But if I do wait, then I don't get to play Brig. So
I just queue up for Ana Paintball in the meantime. That's the bones. Go into Game Browser, find some stuff. But here we are in this series, and we've seen plenty of Brig. It's been a bit of a resurgence for Brigitte, because the last time we really saw her feature heavily was during that GOATS meta. And as we discussed, it does seem like teams are trying to get her back into play. I think the stun is pretty important for picking off enemy Mays before they can ice block. That's something that teams are looking to try and use as well. The earlier you can get rid of May, the much happier your team is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, May is just a nuisance, right? The Ice Wall to split the teams off, you know, the freeze and the slow, it's just the deterrent to try and push on through. Really good damage with her secondary fire with the icicles, right? Self-heal. May has a lot of tools that make her very difficult to deal with.
So, Matt, Houston are on the attack here, and they look very good on defense until they let the Mayhem finish the map. They gave them about half the map pretty comfortably.
But now we get an extended look at Raucus on the Ana. So this is what we want to see. The pre-game, Maywall there from Yaki, trying to split players off. But Cryon will drop first.
Yaki trying to play from the side here. Blase has to back away quickly. Got given a repair pack, though. The Mayhem are trying to make up for this lack of players here by buying a bit of time, but now they're split. Look at them, literally in 4 different directions the Mayhem are trying to play from. Cryon has just returned. There may be a chance for a touch here over the top by Gargoyle. It's going to have to be quick, though. With BQB going down, yep, it has to be Gargoyle and Cryon here, immediately charged by Muma. Very aggressive play, and that might have actually worked against the Outlaws. Gangnam Jin and Cryon doing work. Gangnam Jin getting a lot of healing back onto his Reinhardt now, but Gargoyle was hit by Raucus' Bardic Grenade and goes down. Yaki close to a blizzard. He could turn the fight around if he gets this ultimate off.
But the rally here from the Outlaws, plus they have a nano boost and things get a little bit crazy. They should be able to hold on. It's just Yaki on the point here. He puts up a wall, gets in an ice block, but he should be dealt with quickly after this. Split second as the Outlaws will take the point with a really fast time, 5 minutes plus on the clock.
A little close for them. I mean, back when it was Yaki, you know, Cryon and Gangnam Jin, there was an opportunity to turn that fight around, but Gargoyle got picked off and Cryon charged aggressively and got frozen.
I think the thing with Florida there is they would have had to make a crazy comeback in that fight because they're not going to invest ultimates there because they'd rather have them here to play far forward, right? So you get the Outlaws to invest a few ultimates, now you feel like you have a good chance on defense here for the Mayhem.
A lot of walls on the payload itself. BQB trying to wait them out, but Deadeye's duration just isn't enough to cover it. Look at this flanking angle. Look how he's being escorted by Chris as well. BQB always has his personal heal bot, and that's the headshot on Jexa. Hydration frozen. Makes a pretty looking statue. Unfortunately, it's awfully vulnerable.
Yeah, they do get a D-Mech here, though, so Gargoyle's going to have to earn this Diva Mech back for this next fight. I believe it's with the self-destructive Meko. He's not able to break the line of sight. So you won't have a Diva Mech potentially for the start of the fight. So you'll have a Shatter Nano Boost. Raucus gets really low.
He may not have it for the fight.
Stay alive. Yeah, Gargoyle probably won't.
If you see a minute Diva here as Houston, do you just go forward now?
Not anymore.
Wow.
It's the BQB from the high ground will take out Hydration. That's a huge loss. Big Shatter as well.
3 players Shatter from Muma. Is the follow-up going to be there, though? Blase had to back away. He just had the defense matrix of Gargoyle stuffed up his nose, and he couldn't make any shots. And that's frustrating for Muma. It is hard to find those big shatters when there's May walls and Reinhardt shields to navigate. You hit a big one, 3 players, and none of your team are really in position to do anything about it. Blase was 5 HP. He wasn't going to run forwards.
I mean, both Ryans getting pretty good usage out of their shatters here. 7 stuns for Cryon and 6 for Muma. So just seems like the Mayhem been able to capitalize on those shatters a little bit better as they've gotten kills off of half of those stuns.
This is just ridiculous, bro. Well, shout out to the old green wall there as that comes up and blocks the Deadeye. 5 players got hit by that Bardic Grenade from Gangnam Jin by the way, and Jexa, not a chance to respond. BQB hits him with the flash and a 1-2 punch before he could respond.
Gangnam Jin up on the high ground. He connects in that biotic grenade, like 4 players. Then Meko goes up to try and deal with him and gets slept. Crazy play there from Florida Mayhem's new addition.
I mean, they look
on the Ana.
I don't know, man. The impact of Yaki and Gangnam Jin coming in here, plus the improvement of the tank line for Florida over the break. They're looking scary.
I mean, look at this. Another 4-player biotic grenade. They're coming on in. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it's just slowing down, right?
Stops
now
them in their
having
tracks.
to, now having to heal everybody out, back up.
The only burst healing that Houston have outside of, I guess, the biotic grenade is repair pack, and it's only a small amount. You need Moomin to be healthy because he has to tank some damage. He can't be shielding the whole time. There it is, Hydration taken down again. Charge on a Moomin in this fight. Not looking good for Houston. They have to bring it back, and they have. Oh my! Moomin swinging. Had the nano boost from Raucus there, so he's able to find the Fire Strike finish on BQB. Oh. He may get frozen up here though, Gangnam Jin. Look at him from the side, connecting every one of these darts.
Oh, I'd love to get a replay of that as he actually connects with a sleep on Meko when he's demeched after the self-destruct. And he gets him while he's in the Baby Diva, Pilot Diva form, and they're able to get a kill onto him. But he's still controlling the high ground so well on this Ana, becomes such a nuisance.
Man. And you're in a great spot here to play that aggressive angle and find big biotic grenades. That's why Houston has to wrap back here. Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, like, if you're a team that likes to pause the game, do you really want to do it in Philadelphia?
The
Is
Outlaws,
that really where you want to pause the game?
players just threw their hands up like, come on, man, we want to play.
In front of this crowd, really?
Yeah.
All right, so the pause, as far as I understand, actually, I don't see any action on the stage here. So we have timeouts now, apparently? They just added that without telling me?
Usually we know what's going on. This time, we don't. As it looks like potentially maybe an issue with audio. At this point, I'm just kind of going off of what I see on the
so we've
screen.
had, what have we had? We've had audio, we've had video as well. Had a monitor. Has Raucus accidentally cut himself again?
No. It looks like everything's fine on the stage, but we'll have to see when we get back in the game. The Outlaws, they're about to get the payload like right towards the start of the bridge, and they have 1:37 in the time bank. So coming up on 4 ultimates here, so potentially a fight that the Outlaws could win. Get the payload to that checkpoint B, extend the series potentially.
I mean, they really need the time extension here at this checkpoint. We saw how quickly their attacking time bank just sort of withered away on Havana. BQB is looking really good, playing a lot of these off angles, was able to flank. Now though, with the position that the defenders are in, the only option to flank is to push up onto the bridge, and that really makes you a bit more vulnerable to someone like Meko. So it's like what we've seen from Florida is actually sending Chris on the brig together with BQB, right? There's always going to be burst healing there. She has all the repair packs. They can all be used on the McCree. You can knock back the Diva as well with the flail if she tries to engage, or stun her if that's your poison. So, you know, working that little buddy system between those two allows McCree to become much stronger. We saw a lot of people do this with Widowmaker in the past, but yeah, another break now as we just resolve some issues on stage. When we get back, we hope to see the conclusion of this map. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Met here in Philadelphia. And I agree with Hexagrams on Twitter. If you've ever told your mother or father that you can't pause your game, don't let them see this one. I've had quite a few so far. Couple bumps here and there, but we should be ready to jump back into
good. Who's writing Hex's Twitter material now?
I actually don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he is paying someone to do it, though.
Yeah, you know that wasn't him.
No. And I stole it. And then people are going to think that I said it. Even though I quoted him, people are still going to think I said it. Get wrecked.
We're back. Version 3.
That
Meko still asleep. It's all right, though. He'll get back up.
Right. So you notice the Mayhem have split themselves a little bit here. They keep Yaki and Karayan. I mean, they can cover so much space with the Ice Wall and with the Blizzard. Blase from long range. Look at the brig. Dutifully, Jexa comes back to him and keeps him shielded. Karayan is so low, trying to keep him alive are Florida, but it's a fire strike that eventually takes him down. Muma very low. Great reaction time with that Ice Wall to keep him alive, and the Outlaws get that second checkpoint. Florida in disarray there.
Yeah, as they try and use their own Deadeye, Florida, to deter Houston from advancing once the Blizzard and the Deadeye come down. Maybe just not allow those 2 kills to go down on the point, just buy their teammates some time. Doesn't work out, but now the Florida Mayhem, they'll have the Nano Boost rally the inside here. Maybe Karayan could hit a big shatter.
I mean, that time bank extension for Houston is just so big for them here.
They got to close it out, though. I mean,
That's
they're
right.
in this position on Havana.
And they don't have the ultimates ready to work it now, but 2 minutes is enough time to get them. Florida are allowing the payload to get quite close. They want to play around the corner, out of line of sight, and keep Karayan's shield healthy. Both Mays go for walls over the point, a self-destruct over the top. Muma will have the shield ready. It hits the chandelier. No harm, no foul as far as Outlaws are concerned. Muma tries to back up onto the stairs here. That's going to be the shatter. Blase got hit by that one, so did Raucus. 2 very important players, and that's the Blizzard. And Muma can't get out of it. He gets caught, charged away. The Florida Mayhem have to use a lot of ultimates to secure that fight, and the Outlaws are encroaching on some of their own here.
It's the 2-player shatter, right? It just causes a little bit of panic on the side of the Outlaws. You get a Blizzard of your own, and you're in a good spot to put away the fight. How do you keep this going, though, if you're Florida? You use a ton of ultimates there, like you mentioned, and now you're going to have a Deadeye, a Blizzard. Muma will probably get a shatter rather quickly once the fight kicks off.
You need a good May wall. You have to split the Outlaws off.
This is the position we were in Havana, where the Outlaws had an ultimate advantage, and they were not able to break it. Biotic Grenade, that'll slow things up a little bit here, but you got to see the combos of these ultimates pay off here for Houston.
It's got to be an Ice Wall to split Muma off from the rest of his team. There it is. That's the Ice Wall. Hydration goes for one of his own. Now it's time for the Blizzard. Muma did get stunned up there as BQB going for a Deadeye. He gets Hydration. A Deadeye from the other side. Blase doesn't find too much, and that's the shatter. Gargoyle and Yaki knocked to the ground. Raucus is able to find one in the meantime, and the rest of the Mayhem peel back, try and regroup. The payload's getting awful close. They need to be careful of boops. Gargoyle has to come up and challenge with so little health, and Muma's pushed all the way into spawn. There's a chance here for Florida to come back, and they push out in numbers. Nano boost on Gargoyle because he was the player on the card, and now the Outlaws are down to 9 seconds remaining.
And you're going to have Blase switch to Tracer and Hydration, bring out the Doomfist. Full-on desperation mode here for Houston.
Oh, the Blizzard eaten by Yaki, but still Muma goes down. 5v6, the Outlaws are struggling. One by one, they're falling here in the Florida Mayhem. They just hold out for a little longer. Only 3 players left now for Houston, and with Meko getting de-Meko'd, that'll be all she wrote in this map for the Florida Mayhem. They're looking confident with a shadow to come in to finish things off. They take their first series of the season, 3-0.
I tell you what, at the end there, Chris, Gargoyle, and Dynamgen played that perfectly. Gargoyle is really weak. He rotated all the way to the back, and at that point they were about like 8% to a nano boost. They threw the Brig onto the point. They used the Biotic Grenade to keep the Brigitte alive, keep Chris up. Then they used the nano boost onto Gargoyle. He rotated back into the point, and at that moment they had enough players coming off the spawn to keep it going.
Now we see Florida come across the stage here in our Coca-Cola victory moment. It's so interesting now to see these teams pairing the Brigittes up, enabling flanks for their McCrees. It's almost as if, you know, the McCree player wants that safety. They don't want to risk getting double tapped and headshot and taken out of the mix. You saw that crucial Deadeye from BQB to find, I believe it was Hydration in the final moments, getting rid of the enemy's May at the drop of a hat. If you can do it, you're absolutely going to want to play that way.
And Gargoyle finishes the map 42-1. with 11 final blows. But enough from us. Let's go to Golden Boy on the stage for an interview.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. I'm here joined by Yaki and Swingchip, the team manager for the Florida Mayhem. And congratulations on your win. Firstly, I want to say, former runaway player, you had a lot of success. How does it feel to finally be playing on an Overwatch League stage?
자, 이제 준기 선수가 이제 컨텐더즈에서 많은 승리를 치르다가 이제 드디어 리그에 올라오게 됐는데 어떤지 소감이 어떤지 좀 알려주세요.
그냥 뭔가 그냥 좋아요. 그냥 하늘 뭔가 날고 있는 기분. 그리고 이제 안정적이게 데뷔전을 마무리했으니까 그것도 이제 또 한편에 마음 안쪽에 있었는데 뿌듯하고 풀린 것 같아서.
So yeah, it just feels great. It feels like he's like flying, and also he was slightly worried, like in the corner of his mind, about how his debut match was gonna go. But now that it's gone smoothly, he feels great.
Feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. Okay, so Houston Outlaws had some expectations, but the reality is you guys looked very good against them. How did you feel that the meta plays into the Florida Mayhem's hands?
저희가 이제 휴스턴 아웃로즈에 대해서 뭐 잘 아는 거는 없었잖아요. 근데 이제 막상 경기를 치러 보니까 어땠는지, 그리고 지금 현재 리그 메타가 저희한테 어떤 식으로 유리한지 좀 알려주세요.
그냥 일단 휴스턴 팀 자체가 일단 저희가 어웨이고 휴스턴은 홈 팀이기도 해가지고 좀 저희 컨디션이 안 좋거나 했으면 좀 많이 걱정이 좀 됐는데 일단 저희가 컨디션이 좋은 상태로 해서 좋은 경기 치른 것 같고요. 메타에 대해서는 저희 팀이 메타에 맞게 좀 안 맞게 있던 것 같은데 다 잘해줘서 성장할 수 있는 것 같아요.
Okay, so he's saying in terms of like just the location of the match, they were coming from far away, like we came from far away, so he was worried that maybe like if our condition wasn't like at 100%, then maybe we wouldn't have been playing so well. But because, thankfully we felt good going in, so we did well, and he's really grateful for that. And as for the meta, he's just saying like it seems that we might have not have played the most ideal meta for what's strongest, but it still worked out, and for that he's grateful.
Awesome. And then finally, you're going to be facing the Philadelphia Fusion tomorrow. The fans, clearly Philadelphia fans. Are you ready for the hostility from the crowd?
이제 저번에 말씀드렸듯이 이제 필라델피아 팬들은 약간 이제 상대 팀이 나오면 막 야유 부리고 막 그럴 때 있다고 말했잖아요. 근데 이제 그런 거 맞을 준비가 됐는지, 그리고 이제
맞을 준비돼 있고 그보다 더한 건 때릴 준비가 더 많이 돼 있는 것 같아요.
So he says, I'm ready to face the noise and I'm ready to beat the noise.
Whoa! All right, well, thank you so much, Yaki, for your time. Really appreciate it. That's going to do it for us here. Congratulations to the Florida Mayhem. One more time, guys, give it up for the Mayhem. What a great performance from them. That's going to do it from us here from the main stage.
Thank you very much, Golden Boy. And good to get a few words from Yaki on a very successful debut. I feel like his face changed when he realized that they was going to get booed. He's like, wait, they boo you in this country?
Look, I tweeted it last week. I was like, if you're going to get booed, may as well get booed a lot. Doesn't matter, right? I mean, people are going to boo you. It doesn't really matter.
I mean, they don't do things by halves out here in Philadelphia anyway.
So you may as well come out here, fire some shots, see what happens, right?
See if any come back at you. I mean, that's part of the fun of it. Hey, let's have a look at our player of the match here. I think this one was pretty unanimous and easier. We give it to Yaki here because straight out of the gates, Matt, he was impact player. Now, we didn't start the match on Doomfist. It was actually just a brief stint on it here, but the May was pretty crisp and clean across the series.
Yeah, I thought him and Gangnam Jin were both phenomenal today for the Florida Mayhem. I think his May walls early on in the series were really the decider in a lot of the fights in terms of what went on in control, and then even Havana. So gave the player of the match Oh, even a little tactical crouch. All right. He's already used to the Overwatch League.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think he's going to be surprised by any sort of fan booing or anything like that.
Nah.
Again, you know, look at the stats. We don't expect Maze generally to have a huge number of final blows per 10 minutes. A lot of what they're providing is utility and, of course, that crowd control that makes them so deadly. Also, just putting walls up every time someone tries to shatter.
Yes.
Deadeye, shoot, blink, breathe.
Blocking line of sight.
Wake,
pretty good ability to have, right?
Yeah.
You know, block damage, block the shatters. A lot of uses of that May wall.
Yeah, especially with McCree in the mix and him being such an important source of damage for many of these teams, you need to be able to be a factor. And I have to say, I think the crowd here has had a good little taste test of Overwatch action for the day. But coming up next, it is a homecoming. No doubt about it. The Philadelphia Fusion will take on the Washington Justice here on the main stage in the Met. So don't go too far. More action from the Battle of Brotherly Love coming right up.